Everyone go and find a copy of Inc. magazine and you'll see USA Strong Best in Business 2021 in the lean and mean category, of course.
For the rest of you guys in the room, feel free to share out the room. Let everyone know we're live. We're doing kind of a special, out of the ordinary room tonight. We're going to be talking about the flywheel. So we're going to be discussing, I guess, the inner workings of the flywheel. We're going to run this room a little differently. So feel free to come up and be a part of the conversation. If you wanted to tap on the mic and come on up, you can do that. We're going to break tonight's room down into sections. So I think we're going to start with the strong blockchain verification. Then we're going to move on to the products. NFT and collabs will be after that. And then we'll end off with the end consumer. So
that is what I'm excited about, the NFTs. I'm really excited about that part. We're going to talk about that. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think it'd be really great to get like either an MP4 or some JPEG of ours minted and see where that could go at some point.
Amazing. I love it.
So we'll just wait for the room to build up a little bit and Chrissy to get in here, and then we'll begin tonight's room. But in the meantime, if you guys have any feedback for us for the website or the HODL shop or anything like that, if there's any Celsians in the room, join us up here on stage. We're always open to feedback or any questions you guys might have.
Yes, do feel free to come on up and give us some feedback. We actually last week had a lot of feedback from the community, and we're starting to see how valuable these rooms are. I think it was Celsian Latino. He's in the room tonight. He actually suggested last week 3 different things to us, but one of them was he didn't realize that we had an app. And so we realized that we needed to start kind of promoting our app a little bit more. We added a widget to our homepage on the website, and we've already seen 24% more downloads since last week's call.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, it's so awesome. We're so happy.
I
that
saw
just
the
shows
widget
the power
too.
of the
widget's
community.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So.
Good job, you guys. It looks amazing. I love it.
So please feel free to come up and keep giving us your feedback. It helps us so much, especially being new, and we're 1 year in business, so we appreciate your support.
Let me ask you this. You guys know this. What is the biggest sale like this week? What are you guys noticing right now that we're selling the most of?
I would
Stephanie,
say beauty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wellness
Yeah.
products are really selling. We've got lots of bath bombs, home and kitchen. We've sold a ton of like 360 cookware, Liberty tabletop, the Rata cutlery. It seems like people are getting ready to like host this holiday season and spend time like in their homes, which is probably has to do with the COVID spiking back up again, and some what are they called? Oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. But mandates happening again. So people,
it seems like people are starting to stay at home and cook. I've noticed a lot of the food looks like it's selling more too, which is awesome.
Yes, it is, and we are so excited about the new creation soda. That oh my gosh, that you got, that is amazing.
I know, I'm so excited about that one.
Yes, I think that's going to be a great addition to the site.
Some guy, did you see that he called it the nectar of the gods? So I think we're going to use that as our slogan for new creation soda, nectar of the gods. I was like, okay,
yes, we love
that'll work. Yeah, I love it too.
Hey, Chrissy, welcome in.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. Seems like we've got a special night ahead of us.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the flywheel.
Yep. Excited to dive in.
So if you could just start us off with, I guess, the beginnings of the flywheel, and then I've got some questions, and I'm sure some of the people in here do as well. So the floor is yours. Welcome in.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. So I thought tonight we could just kind of talk about why we think USA Strong.io is working So first of all, hi to everyone, especially the ambassadors and the whole team at USA Strong. I think we're growing so fast lately that even our own community, that this tight-knit USAstrong.io community, the originals, the OGs, don't even have time right now to communicate daily anymore. So it's so good to see everyone dialing in. We're all moving super fast. I can see the applications coming in fast and furious. I know you guys are working the field. So thank you for that. Yeah, so it starts with the verification. So let's kick it off. The way we were thinking about tonight was in 4 parts, kind of thinking about the verification, which leads to the applications and the vendors coming in, which leads to the products. And the creativity. It always goes back to, that creativity of the makers, the artists. And, when we can see and verify what they're doing, it definitely spins up a lot of unique ideas. And when we showcase that and we showcase who's behind all of that creativity, what is happening that's new for us, and what I was kind of alluding to on my tweet tonight is that we're starting to unlock a lot of new communities that were unexpected, especially in the NFT space. A lot of artists, actually more so than even what I thought would happen in fashion, like traditional fashion. So traditional clothing is falling a little bit behind, which is unfortunate because that's been my background, and what I'm super solid at. And then leading to, the end consumer, whoever that end consumer is, who is actually turning into the verification community, and who authenticates, so we think about all of those, whether it's a procurement officer, whether it's someone that authenticates art, or whether it's just a school teacher, who can verify something for us. So that's kind of the way we think about this flywheel. And the flywheel started off real slow. It was difficult to spin up. It was a difficult thing to explain what a .io was. I mean, people, came up with all kind of crazy explanations a year ago of a .io. The boycott Amazon movement last year, people never thought in a million years someone like me or someone so small as our company could take on this behemoth, because obviously they're the antithesis of verifying, right? They're the antithesis of locally made. They kind of destroyed Main Street America. So certainly they don't want us to succeed. It goes back to that maker, and then how do we verify it? So that verification is key, right? So that's the blockchain. That is Strong blockchain. That is what this is built on. It's built on me as one person saying, how do I figure out where something's coming from, who's making it, who's that person's behind it, and I want to showcase that. So that's the beginning of the flywheel. That's that first, if you think about a pie, you think about the pie in 4 parts. That is, the first part. That's number 1. So that will always be the heart of our company, is the verification. Now that can be disputed. And I believe as more and more people enter into the space, that'll become a heated debate. It's not so heated right now, but it will become more heated as people really understand what I'm doing. So right now, I think people are gravitating towards it that understand how this can unleash helpfulness, or it can help empower them for things that can be good, that may have been wronged in the past. And this can date back, I was thinking more immediate, but now I'm understanding it can date back not just 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I think this can date back even further, and it's going to be a real interesting conversation. I think some people think about verification in the sense of KYC. That's kind of just the tip of the iceberg of what we're talking about here, right? Because verification for us is the entire process, right? So I think that as we think about supply chain, we're not just talking about one element. We're talking about incentivizing or tokenized economies that give people the power and the how to incentivize this economy or this community to think about A to Z, to share uh, their knowledge, to reward and say, okay, we want to understand the beginning of A and then take us through to Z and share it. So as far as verification, I think if we want to think about tonight in a structure of the room, if anyone has questions on verification, because again, the topics that we're covering are pretty deep. We can go question, we can do Q&A in this, and then move on to the marketplace.
I've got a question on
Sure.
verification. So you you spoke kind of broadly, but I want to get like deep down
hmm
into the weeds with this. So when you're verifying, how are you, say like you have a person coming in that has their product has a whole bunch of parts to it. How do you know each individual part came from American sources? Like what do you do to do that type of background check? And how do you verify that each individual piece is not from abroad?
Yeah. I mean, that is a very difficult question when you're talking about something like a power station, right? Um, and this is something that the government is struggling with right now. Um, because if you're thinking about how to have something to power your Tesla, right? That how to you know get your car from A to Z if you want to use a battery, for what's going to be a mandate for the buses for the public schools, right? That little that little power source, it's going to be very hard to say that all the bits and pieces that make up that battery station are USA made. Now, that is part of that 3 trillion package or 2 trillion package at this point. I can't even keep track how much they're going to spend on that, but it is supposed to be USA made, right? So there's a big debate in government right now of saying, well, let's bypass that one for that charging station, for that, let's say, I keep going back to Tesla. But let's say for that charging station, we can't verify that all the bits and pieces for that charging station are going to be USA made. Let's override that particular piece, right? Well, that's not acceptable. That's not going to work because, just because it's hard to do, or we don't think people in the US make all of those bits and pieces. Of course they make those bits and pieces. You got to go find them. You got to source it, okay? And that's part of USA Strong. That is part of the Strong blockchain, is that those bits and pieces can be found. They can be sourced. You got to put them together. You can't be lazy about it, right? That is part of a procurement officer's job, is to do that, okay? And we're pulling all of that together. Now, there's an easier part of this where you've got maybe 3, elements to something, and you can verify that much faster or easier. And we, find that that can be done, in 5 days' time or 2 days' time, and you've got ambassadors that can do that faster than a charging station, right? So I think it's what element are we talking about? What um, what constitutes USA made? And our site right now is in its infancy. We're still a baby. We're 12 months old. And right now, what we're working on are those smaller shops from Main Street America. However, where we're scaling to and what we're looking at down the road is so much more complicated. Um, and those bits and pieces are going to be 100 parts coming from the US, that you will be reliant on us to verify it, because we're the only ones that really will know how to do it. And how do you do it, Josh? It's the community, right? We had a school teacher who so now we're at the end of the flywheel. We're at the consumer right now. She's a verifier, right? She's a consumer who received something from a shop owner who tried to put something up or sneak something up that was made in PCR. Well, PCR is China, and got caught, right? So she emailed us and said, okay, this is not acceptable, right? And so we had to deal with it. But what we're finding is our community is becoming the verifiers, or becoming someone that authenticates something. And that's the token economy. That's how do you incentivize those people, and how do you bring them on board? Well, school teachers are the best, or someone that does tours, right? They know everything about a community, a local community. And it's information, it's decentralization, it's sharing it, it's putting it on the blockchain and saying, okay, we're sharing it. And I think it's going to be a learning curve. I thought it would take much longer. I thought it would take us 10 years, and it's not.
Thank you for answering my question. And it's interesting that you were able to catch that person from the PCR and all that. Stephanie, I know you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a few questions, but I'm going to try to condense it into one. But Chrissy, can you speak a little bit on what would incentivize a vendor to want to be put on the blockchain?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think someone that is truly manufacturing locally, and obviously we're starting in the US, right? We're passionate about our community. Someone that's manufacturing here in the US, that's USA made, wants to show that they are truly manufacturing here. Right. So again, we go back to how I started the company. I wanted to show who is manufacturing truly in New York City, right? So if you're truly manufacturing in New York City, and your parts are coming from Michigan, you're going to want to have that verification shown from beginning to end, and get that, whether it's that QR code that takes you back to show the process, and can be shown on their site, our site, and the whole process is transparent. There's no question that person's going to just want to do it because they're passionate about showing how they differentiate from somebody else. But I think, again, why this has never been done is because there's a mentality in the past where people don't necessarily want to show their vendors because they're protective of how they manufacture something. And I think we're kind of we're changing that thought process of saying, okay, there's a way to utilize token economy and tokenize this, where how do you incentivize folks, not just because they're passionate about showing the good they're doing, or showing how they're truly here and not, manufacturing in China with, women and children tied to a wall in the basement. It's okay, show it, and then incentivize them as the value of their localized economy goes up. So the more value that goes into, okay, their supply chain is needed in other places, their part of the token is becoming more valuable. And I think that's really the future, right? Is, okay, what part of the information chain do you contribute, and how valuable is that information to the rest of society? And that's really what we're looking for.
Did that conclude your question, Stephanie?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, Chrissy, let's move on to the next part of the flywheel, which is the product part. Could you tell us a little bit about this stage?
Yeah, so there's a lot of attention right now after the verification. I think we talk a lot about internally on a daily basis with the team. We spend a lot of time on marketplace, and that's the usastrong.io. That's I think what we're known for right now is building this marketplace. And within the marketplace, we talk a lot about that 250 vendor number. We talk about the shops that Mimi builds. We talk about Stephanie and Kelsey and the ambassadors, Jackie, Rosie, Erin, all the two Erins, everyone on this call right now, and how they've been, and Ashley, who's managing social now, and how they're building that community, onboarding all of the vendors, and the amount of work that we're putting into curating it. And what does that mean? That means that we're different from Boycott Amazon and different from Etsy in the sense that you have to apply, right? You can't just put your store up. You have to first apply, and then the team goes in and curates it. We accept you, and then they spend an enormous amount of time looking at every single image, working with these shop owners, taking the time and courage, quite frankly, to figure out what we think the end consumer will appreciate as far as an image and a product. And I think what is so exciting about this is that we're finding a community that actually is appreciating this, besides our vendors who are unbelievable. We're finding this other community that's looking at it and saying, okay, we love what we're seeing here because we've thanks to the creativity of the team and the creativity of the consumer, it's starting to attract another subset or a substack of folks who are bringing a new level to what we're doing. And I think the marketplace is gonna expand past what we're doing right now. So it's a pretty exciting thing. But I think the traditional strong marketplace that we have right now is pretty well known, right? It's a marketplace of where Boycott Amazon and Etsy have been and where we're headed and where the community is taking us is a whole new thing. So and it's very advanced and progressive than where other people are, right? So that's how we got wine, right? I'm not even sure Etsy delivers wine in 48 states, or I know I can't get wine from Boycott Amazon in New York. I don't know if anybody else can, but you certainly can't get it here. So because we take this time and care to make these shops for every single maker and showcase them and who they are, it's a pretty exciting time for us. So I want to thank the community, and Mimi can maybe elaborate a little bit on how much time she spends with the shop owners, because I know she just adores every single one of them.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, great. No, it's such a privilege to be able to build out and create these like really relationships with these brand owners. I spend between me and Steph, she really gets the ball rolling with getting them on board and really getting the conversation going about what type of products that they'd like to feature on our site, what they think would benefit like on our platform, and getting the overall aesthetic. They've give me so many images to work from, and it's really like a collaboration. I'm actually working on a storefront as we're doing this right now, and like just being able to take a deep dive into what each seller has to offer. It's really like an intimate experience, and I can speak to, we have 15,000 products on the site, and you get a connection with like with the seller, and also the customers. It's exciting when they are buying from the shops that you've built, and you know it's just such an amazing process, really. And yeah, I guess I can go on and on and on about
Shuffleboards.
yes, right
Shuffleboards.
before I left, we are actually getting shuffleboards on the site, which is really exciting for indoors, outdoors, and being able to have like such a close connection to the product. I'm learning about how there's like 15 different customization options on different parts of like handles and this and that, and it's seeing how each part is made here and where, and it's a really big learning experience for me, not just for the brand coming onto our site and like learning from us and what we have to offer. So it is a great part of the flywheel. It's called the brand's actually called Hudson Shuffleboard. So if anyone's in the market for a shuffleboard, we're gonna have them up by the end of the week.
I thought of Atari. When I was looking at the shuffleboards, it kind of reminded me back of like when I first saw Atari and like, you know, there's so many cool nostalgia things that we're adding up. I'm a fan of the 90s. I'm a baby of the 90s. And there's so many amazing kind of nod to Seattle things that we're adding onto the site. I mean, I'm so in love with Strong Marketplace. I just can't let go of it, and I need to because the team can definitely take this leg and run as we move towards the new leg and the new chapter of um, strong blockchain and tokenization. But I'm just so in love with it. I have a hard time letting go.
I see two hands up. I believe, Stephanie, your hand was up first, so I'll go to you.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Mimi was saying. And one of my favorite parts, and I know that like Chrissy and the rest of the team feels really passionate about this as well, is when the vendors buy from each other, because that's what really makes the flywheel work, is when we have, once we can get each of the vendors to support one another and to be getting their products from one another rather than outsourcing, that's when we'll be at our
100%.
our largest capacity.
It's so true. You're so right. I mean, we're seeing it now, right? When you see like Nitty Gritty and Human Outside and May 11, all these brands starting to support each other. And that is such a huge thing. And I think back to last week when we were speaking to the folks at the SDG, and, they have such a great way of showing how your dollar impacts every single charity or how you're directly helping a tree. They have to work so hard to get a dollar for a charity, right? So they really know how to show on a graph, or a grid or a visual how they know how to pull on your heartstring to really show you the visual impact of where your dollar goes. And I think that is what we're missing out on. It's like, how do we show you this community and how you're impacting each other? And it's something that we have failed on Marketplace, is that when you check out, how does a consumer see how they're actually impacting their own state? Or how does a vendor see where they are as far as even their payouts for the past 12 months? Or how do they see how other vendors are helping them? There is so much data and information that we don't know how to share. Because I mean, there's so little of us, right? I mean, we've got 12 ambassadors in the field working hard to verify. We've got us on tech and onboarding. I mean, every day we're moving at a rapid pace. Now we've got NFTs. Now we've got NFTs for product. Now we've got 2 apps going, right? I think, we've got to prioritize, and I think that's the challenge of a startup, is focus, right? But I definitely think we need to figure out how to show the impact of sellers helping sellers. That was a really good call out, Steph.
I know we got to move on to NFT and the collaboration between fashion and art next, but Ashley, I noticed you had your hand up. You took it down. Do you still have a question?
I had to take it down because Stephanie and I were reading each other's minds. I was just going to say that Mimi did remind me that I'm learning every day how special and unique this community is, and the fact that the vendors are supporting each other and buying things from one another is just so cool and exactly what we wanted this to be about. So, yeah, that's it. You guys answered my question.
Got it. We're gonna move into the NFT part, and Chrissy, I can't help but think when I hear the the word flywheel, it makes me think, and we're talking blockchain here. Is there going to be a token?
Yeah, so yes, the answer is yes. That's definitely where we're headed. I think that, you know, when we think about the token economy, we think about Web3, we think about all of these keywords, decentralization. When we think about blockchain, I think back to when I first thought about this, and I was talking to Alex and I was talking to Scott Cernetta. I mean, first of all, Scott Cernetta is just amazing. He's um, someone that advised on this. This is someone that, came up with the Merkle tree in 1993, which is now the blockchain. I've had just incredible people advise me. And when we were thinking through this and this local economy or tokenization, it was really about how, what's really going to bring people together, and I kept getting stuck on, but why, because I'm from retail. I am from the Garment District. I am from the heart of 7th Avenue, and I can tell you, no one is giving up their sources. No one is telling you how they're manufacturing something. It's just not something innate in what we do. And, I think between Alex and Scott, and, again, these are creators of industries. These are titans of creating the beginnings of what you're looking at today, and they're probably beyond Web3, right? It was token economy. So, I mean, things like that have been created and they're sitting dormant, right? There's so many things that we've got as far as technology and token and um, that are waiting for us to catch up. And I think when you think about art, fashion, you think about where the NFT space is, right? That is just we're just at the tip of the iceberg. But I think where I live, right? I think about the government. I think about traditional supply chain. I think about manufacturing. Those old clunky masculine words. I am USA made, right? Those we're making more feminine. We're rounding the edges. We're saying it's not just men. There are women in this space. There's fashion, there's females, and we make things, and there's makers, right? We're kind of bridging this world of old and new because there's such a far gap. There's such a far gap between 1950 and 2000 and 2050, right? There's a really, really long and far bridge that needs to be built. And somewhere in the middle is usastrong.io. And that's the bridge we're building. And in there is this token economy or this blockchain. And we've got all these things built. We ran at such a rapid pace during COVID, right? There was this panic that we had. There was this, we have to save the world drive in our household. And we did a lot. And Josh, you were part of it. And a lot of people, my dad, I see him on this call, he was part of it. We were all driven because we didn't know what was going to happen.
Hello.
And and we did it. And so there's things there that we've got. And so yes, Josh, we've got the token. We've got it sitting there. It's USA. We were fortunate enough to collaborate with a lot of people to get that. And we can't wait to unleash it.
Well, that's exciting. I can imagine the stronger base growing in a big way as soon as you do that, as soon as word gets out that you're doing that. So I'm excited to hear that. If we could just lightly touch on the NFT collaboration, Ashley has kind of clued me in that there's something really exciting happening. If you want to get us up to speed on that, and we can shoot to the end consumer. And I don't want to be rude. Is there anyone else on stage up here that has a question for Chrissy before we do that? All right, Chrissy, go ahead.
Yeah, so the NFT thought process, which is so far beyond our scope, right? This is something that we're learning along the way. I think that it was probably unleashed 2 or 3 years ago. I think it's something that Alex has pioneered. I think it's something that you know he is passionate about. Um, I don't know that he would call it NFT. I think that, he thinks about it in a very creative, hyper forward way. But I think because he's involved in it and he leans into us because of again, us being, that fashion resource and our creativity, and inviting me to Miami for the NFT conferences. I think it opened up a new world for USA Strong and the art world, right? And I think that when we think about what we can do with our platform and production and product placement and the exposure, I think it's unlimited, right? And again, we've got Italy strong, we've got UK strong. There are all these things we can unleash that are just sitting there dormant that we can unlock. So we can do production anywhere, but it has to be local and has to be verified that it was made locally, right? So that the economy stays localized and helps those people locally. And I think the NFT world intersects with fashion, and that's my background. That's what I'm great at. That's what I'm known for is trend. I can spot trends, I can manufacture, I can produce, and I can get to market faster than anybody. That's what my team is known for. So I think when you intersect that technology, that knowledge, that transparency, that verification, and that speed to market, I think it's interesting the folks that are coming to us. And then what we've got that we already own in our wallets that probably people don't even realize. It's so spectacular and so exciting, and the talent that we have and the talent that we need to get, right? So we're also hiring like crazy. I think the amount of job creation that we're doing is substantial. So we're also anyone that's looking for work, email Ashley. Ashley, you're at what? Ashley, it's Ashley at usastrong.io, right?
Yep, ashleyusastrong.io.
We're so excited with the families that are coming forward in the art world, works that have artwork that's been dormant, that needs to be verified, things that we never thought of. Everything can be an NFT, right? That has value. I think what Budweiser did with the beer.eth is amazing. I think the wine on our space that we deliver, it can be an NFT. I think Levi's can be an NFT. I think New Balance on our platform can be an NFT. I think everything that we own, that we have, that is USA made, that it's a local economy can be an NFT. But I think also NFTs are thinking about it and backing into our space and saying, okay, wait, I've got this digital space, I've got this digital art, why can't it be product? Right? And we accept crypto, we accept all kinds of different digital currency. And so we're at this a very interesting intersection, and a very interesting time where we can unleash a lot. And I think when people truly understand what we have, it'll be game over and lights out, for what I call boycott Amazon.
Are there any questions on the NFT subject up here on stage? All right, then we can segue right into the end consumer toward the end of the flywheel.
Yeah, and this is my favorite part, right? I mean, when we have a end consumer purchasing at the rate that they're purchasing right now, and again, that I know that phrase 10x is very loosely used, but that's where we are right now. And their feedback is critical. We had feedback last week, I think, from Ash or Steph. I think you knew who. There was a very specific caller who gave us feedback. That was, or
Techco.
yeah,
Yeah, Techco last week. And yeah, I mean, his feedback, we're pretty sure it was about just making sure that we are letting the customers know who our vendors are, and like if they're women owned, black or brown owned businesses, like what charities they're involved in. So definitely working towards that, making that just more accessible for
and the app,
our end
right?
consumer. Yes.
In the app. And I think that was really interesting, right? Because that feedback is the end consumer explaining to us the challenges with our site. And we took that feedback, we immediately implemented it, and you start to see when that consumer becomes critical and shares their feedback and we can listen to it and you implement it, what the positive impact can be immediately. I think it was a 20 or 30% increase just in user base with our app, just because of that feedback, right? And when you have a school teacher that says, okay, not USA Made, get it off your site, this increases our chance of success and increases the chance of us winning. And those are two examples of how the end consumer and the end of the flywheel, then they become your verifiers. They become your, I call it the procurement officers. They become someone that can authenticate, or they can confirm if it's USA Made. My dad, again, I use him as an example. Inspiration. He tells me, wait, I'm going to get that. Are you sure that's made here? What are the components? How do you know that? That is my own father. This isn't someone turning a blind eye. This isn't someone saying, you know what, you're my daughter, I'm just going to tell you it's great. This is someone that's holding me to a higher standard because I'm his daughter, because he wants me to be successful. And that's our consumer base. And I go back to what Scott Stornetta said. This is a man who created the Merkle tree, who helped me build this blockchain with my husband. Your end consumer is who's going to make you successful if you listen to them and you can implement what they're sharing with you. That's how a startup makes it through their past year. I think our hardest time is probably behind us because we built the application for the verification. We had the token. We got all of that really, really hard stuff behind us. We got the marketplace up. We've got the tech team. We've got the IT. We've got the developers. I've got this core group of passionate people, including the consumer. And who knew we would get this amazing, these artists and these passionate people behind us in the NFT space. I never in a million years thought we would get such beautiful people in the art space. Never thought that. So the fact that we've now got that opportunity, we've got USAMade.eth, the fact that we're going to Bitcoin 2022, which is a very male-dominated space, the fact that we're working to bring surfers there and surfboards and, the Celsians, again, I think all of these things kind of lend to the fact that people want something verified. They want something tangible. They want something that they know is truthful. And they're tired of not really knowing what is what, in my opinion.
Does anybody up here have any questions on the end consumer phase?
I just want to say real quick, though, kind of building up on Christy, what she was saying. I think the vendors, they earn our trust too, and we earn their trust. Like, it just is a really neat thing to watch. And I'm really excited about the future with vendors because it really is neat. And to see the vendors actually interacting with themselves, I think Stephanie was talking about that earlier, or Ashley. It's really neat to see that. And I think that helps us tremendously, build up. It's amazing.
If there aren't any questions, these last couple of minutes, I see some Celsians in the room. They mentioned last week that we got some really good feedback from some Celsians that increased, viewership on the website by, was 20 or 30%. So if
On
any,
the app. Yep, on the
yeah,
app.
on the app. So if any of you guys have any good feedback for us, feel free to jump up on stage. If you want to see something, new and interesting in the Huddle Shop, we're always down to hear that as well. So, Celsian Latino, what's going on?
Yeah, hey everyone. Good evening. Super happy to hear that there was like a 30%, I guess, download of the app. I had some feedback, Chrissy. A little bit more feedback, if you would have me.
Of course, absolutely. I love it. Thank you.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Cool. So, thank you. I think you kind of already covered this, but Tecmo said like a description or like a bio of where the items are sourced and who created it. I'm on the app, right? And I clicked on like a few items, and it's got like bullet points with like made in the USA. I the value proposition of USA Strong, or one of them, is like it's made in the US, right? So I think that like maybe sticking to that a little bit stronger, and having like a bio of like, who created it, if it's from like Wisconsin sourced or something, Johnny Walker made it, I think that would kind of be a cool thing to know. It was made in California by this guy, or these good folks over here, that's just one of my feedbacks. And then oh yeah, and then again, the app, when you open it, there's just squares, right? Perhaps having like a top square that like introduces USA Strong, and like, it's, we, with the value proposition, like we make things in the US, because you open the app and it's like, oh cool, it's just an app where you can like browse things and buy things, unless if you're new, like you're not really going to know where to navigate to. So just kind of some more app feedback there. And then lastly, I sent you some suggestions for like Bitcoin t-shirts and stuff. Just wondering if you have any nuggets of information of any new products that you might be adding into the Huddle Shop. Yeah, thank you.
So you're touching on a nerve.
Sorry.
I'll tell you that. That's a good nerve. So let's talk about that for 1 second. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but let's talk about this app for a second. So we built our marketplace in October of 2020 within Shopify, right? And I'm not sure how many people are on the Shopify app, or if you're a maker, but it's interesting because Shopify recommends an app or they have apps that they recommend, right? And we used Plobal to build this app within Shopify, and it has been interesting to maneuver, right? And I know Mimi has a really hard time on the visual, And I know the developers are having a hard time working with the global developers on this because it doesn't marry back to our marketplace, right? And so when you go on to, when you're on your phone and you're shopping USA Strong through Safari or whatever you're shopping, you can actually see the maker, right? You can go into their shop, or when you're on an item, you see the shop name under the image. You can click on that shop or that shop name, and it takes you to their shop, right? But on the Plobal app, which is what's backing our app, it doesn't show you, and they can't do it for us. Now, we can build our own app for USA Strong, and we can take it off of Shopify. But because we're building the Strong blockchain, right, which is an off Shopify app with Apple, we've been spending a lot of time building that application. And I think, obviously my husband's Alex Mashinsky. I think his worry is you can't do 3 apps, right? We can't spend this time on 3 apps, but where the challenge is, and where a startup starts to have this issue, is exactly what you're saying, right? The background and the backbone of who we are at USA Strong is the maker, right? We're showcasing who the maker is. And nothing is more frustrating for us is when Mimi builds with Stephanie or Kelsey these shops, and then when we go into the app, especially when you're shopping on your phone and you go into the app and under that photo, you can't click the maker's name after we spent all this time doing it. And we don't know what to do in that scenario, because technically we could make the Strong blockchain app, which you'll have access to. That's not going to be a shoppable app right now. That's just the verification, right? So that app will be for verifiers and store owners, but it's not going to be shoppable. Now, what I could do, because it's off Shopify, I can make that shoppable, and we can work with developers. We can build out more developers to say, okay, we also want to make that shoppable, because for the amount of traffic we're getting on a daily basis, we should be converting more, and 70 or 80% of our consumer base is mobile. So I do think our mobile application with Plobal is probably not the best. I know Mimi is struggling with the visuals, but we're definitely, there's a definite opportunity. And I think the other thing you brought up, there was something else when you land on it, the value proposition of who we are, with the boxes. I think that's a very good call out, and we probably need to do that on the site. So that's something I'm going to look at tomorrow. And then Bitcoin products. I think Ashley took a poll, and I think Josh helped us with this. So we did a poll on the different ones you sent us. And I just got the t-shirt today, and I worked with Bitcoin 2022 on what we're going to do. So I think you'll be happy with the outcome. Sorry, that's a long answer.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chrissy. I work in tech. I understand maintaining and creating an app takes a lot of development and thinking through things. So, no, that this was a really good answer, and I'll be the first to buy that T-shirt. So, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Chrissy, we're at the top of the hour. Did you want to do some closing thoughts and then we wrap for the night?
Yeah, I think, as we kind of build out this community, I want to thank everyone for sharing their feedback. You keep pushing us. I think, especially the team. I know you're stretched super thin. every day, you know, we're getting, and anyone that's on this, that's still on this live or this Twitter Spaces, thank you for your feedback. We are reading your messages. We're super excited for everything you're challenging us with. We're getting through all of it. We're learning, we're pushing, we're gonna get there. And thank you so much. I hope this explanation of the flywheel helped. And happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for everything.
Chrissy, before you go, Mr. Cartmill shot up. I don't know if he had a quick question or
Sure.
feedback.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm building out my website, and I was wanting to partner with USA Strong, but am I on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, anyway, I'm building out Amazon affiliates and stuff, and I noticed that on your site you don't have affiliates, and so I was wondering if that was something you're going to do in the future, have affiliates to help build out USA Strong.
So I think affiliates are an interesting idea. Actually, Steph and I were just talking about it today. I think it's a way to scale faster, but again, we have to think about how to verify that they're USA made or Italy made or UK made, or, you know, we're still looking for that head of for each country outside of the US. So I think if you want to shoot us a DM and let us know how we can work with you and where the makers are, that would be great.
Well, I'm more talking about I have a website and I'm building a store. And so what it is when you're an affiliate, you're linking, I'm linking my store to your store. So when someone buys something on my website, they're actually purchasing it from your store. So it gives you a more global reach. It's not people making products and sending it to you in that type of affiliate, but more of a marketing affiliate.
Okay, I think it would be great to chat offline. We can talk about it. Just why don't you send me a DM and we'll chat through how to collaborate.
All right, thank you.
Awesome, guys. Well, that's going to wrap us for tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Just know we do these every week. Sometimes we do them bi-weekly depending upon holidays. And yeah, Ashley, I see you unmuted. Did you have a final thought or something?
No, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for coming out tonight. We do host these every week at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, so keep coming back. Don't forget to download our USA Strong app. You'll get 10% off of your first order when you download the app, and be sure to follow us on all social platforms at USA Strong IO to stay up to date with the latest products and launches. We so appreciate your feedback. We found these rooms so valuable, so thank you very much, and we'll see you next Wednesday, Strongers.
And Celsians. Thanks, everyone.
And Celsians.
You're the best. Have
Good
a
night, everyone.